Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you how to make some sourdough pasta. Now this recipe is super simple. You can use a pasta machine to roll it out, or you can use just a regular old rolling pin. Either way, it works just fine. What we're going to do first is go ahead and get our flour. Now we're going to do 400 grams of flour. Weigh that out, and right into the middle of it, we are going to put 400 grams of discard. Now you can use active starter as well. Either one will be just fine. Okay, now into this batch, I'm going to add egg. However, you do not need to add egg. I'm going to put 2 eggs, so 1 egg per 200 grams. If you choose not to add an egg, you're going to use approximately 50 grams of water in replacement for those eggs. Now we're going to put 10 grams of salt. If you're just doing the 200 flour, 200 discard, then you're just going to use 5 grams of salt. So I'm just going to whisk this up until all the flour is combined enough for me to be able to do it up with my hands. I'm just using a Danish dough whisk for this. So just to mix it all up in there. Make sure you get all the sides. I like to use the flat bowl because it's a lot easier than trying to dig your hands into a deep bowl. At least for this, since it's a little bit, more difficult. With the shallow edges, makes it a little bit more easy. So once I get this all incorporated, I'm just gonna go ahead and knead it. And we're going to knead for approximately 5 to 10 minutes until everything is super incorporated. Now you can use a mixing machine or stand mixer if you like, and that would be totally fine. Then you don't have to knead anything by hand. So here we go, just kneading it all up. Once you've got all the flour off of your bowl, your casserole dish, just go ahead and start kneading it on the counter. It'll be easier. I'm showing you the elasticity, so it's not super elastic yet. You can see a lot of definition in the dough still. So I'm going to continue to knead it until it's a lot smoother. And when you notice that it gets a little bit sticky on your hands, that's when you're going to want to add just a touch of flour. And what I'll do is just add a tiny bit of flour onto my surface and then just kind of knead over it. Now, when you're finished kneading, you can put your dough into a Tupperware container that seals airtight. You can wrap it in plastic, put it in a Ziploc bag. Whatever really is going to be the easiest for you is what you should go ahead and do. If you are using active starter, you can go ahead and set your dough in the refrigerator to make sure that it's super hydrated for a couple of hours. If your dough is not active, then you can go ahead and leave it on the counter for a few hours before you start to roll it out. Now what I'm doing here is just emptying out the rest of the discard that I have in my jar so that I can feed it for my next project. I don't really hardly leave anything in there. I just empty everything. You don't need a lot in order to feed it. So first I'll put my warm water in. Warm up to 105 degrees is totally fine. If it's too hot, you will kill the yeast in your starter. So just put the water in, shake it around, and it's gonna pull everything pretty much off the sides. I just shake it until it's, there's no chunks or anything on the side. And then I put my flour in, and that's gonna be it. Just go ahead and mix that up and set it aside. And then I've got my starter for later on when we're ready to use it again. Now when I'm mixing my starter, I typically do a 1-to-1 ratio. Sometimes it comes out a tad thick. Maybe I didn't measure all the way up to that gram, and just add a little tad bit of water to help mix it in. Now once your dough is ready, what I'm gonna do, I've got these ones already separated out. This is some of my pasta with no egg. That is ready to get rolled out. My daughter loves to do the rolling, so if you got some kids at home and a lot of stuff to do, then go ahead and get that rolling out onto them. Let them do it for you. Now, I use a jar with a little bit of, what is that called? A sprout screen. And I just put that on top of a jar, and it's really great for spitting out some of those, or dusting out some of the flour. Now, as you can see here, this piece was super thick and I think a little bit tad dry, and that's why the edges separated like that, which is no problem because all you have to do is push them back together like this, and we're just gonna run it back through the machine. No big deal at all. Because this one has less hydration than the egg one that you saw, I'm not adding too much flour. I just want enough flour so that it does not stick inside of the machine. You can also get yourself a pasta hanger to dry, or just lay it flat on like a silpat, so that way it can dry a little bit before you stick it in the freezer, or I'm sorry, the refrigerator to store it, or the freezer. You could do either or. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just thickening it, making it a little bit wider, so I fold it in half, and then that way I have somewhat of a wide sheet instead of a long thin one. There we go, and that's how it's going to be out there. And what I do usually also is run it through the same settings, starting with the 0.
You got it all inside of you. Feel it to be true. And when you dance, I'm in the groove. You make me move. You make me move. You got it all inside of you. Feel it to be true. And when you dance, I'm in the groove. You make me move.
Now we're not going to eat this pasta right away, so I'm going to go ahead and set up the drying rack so it can dry out a little. Now when you do dry your pasta, you don't want to cut it right away if your pasta has just been rolled out. It's a lot easier to cut it after it's dried for maybe about an hour, where it's still pliable but it's not crispy or crackly or cracking or whatever it is that we want to call it. But if you cut your pasta out right away, it by hand would probably be the best if you're going to want to eat it right away. Otherwise, just let it dry for about an hour or so, and then you can cut it out and cook it right away. Otherwise, if you are going to store it in the refrigerator, it should be good for up to 4 months is what I hear, or you can freeze it for longer. So whatever your preference is. Here I am just going ahead to roll out the rest of the pasta dough and get that all nice and hung. You don't necessarily need to see all the rolling out. So I will go ahead and fast forward to it being dry for approximately an hour, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting out the spaghetti and fettuccine shapes.
You make me move. You got it all.
once you have gotten all of your pastas rolled out, I am going to be storing these. So I did let them hang for a little bit longer so they can get drier and not stick to each other. If you are going to store these, keep in mind to put some flour in the storage container that you're using so that way they don't stick together. And I'm just putting them in really gently, one little section at a time. I don't want to put them all in one huge bundle again, just because we don't want them to stick to each other. So I'm just putting the fettuccinis here on one side and the spaghettis on the other side. This wasn't a really huge batch of pasta that I rolled out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stick those together.